Yeah, I can love me better than you can. Oh. Well, we could talk about inflation, but let's talk song. Second song analysis. This time I'm doing something rather recent. Miley Cyrus has surprised the world with a new release in January of 2023. I'm assuming that this is going to be one of the top 10, if not top 5, if not top 1 songs of 2023. I'm shooting this in February, but still I'm pretty confident that nothing is going to blow up the internet as much as Miley Cyrus's Flowers has done in the first couple of weeks in 2023. And I'm already placing my bets on a couple of Grammys for that song. We are not talking about awards though. We are talking about the song only. And we are talking about the intro, which is exactly 1 chord. This is a very, very beautiful C major 7 chord that does not really tell us where we are yet in terms of key, but gives us a smooth introduction, and of course we are in the key of C major or A minor if you will, and it's a pretty cool way to introduce your song, especially because the starting chord of the verse is A minor. Let's look at the chords for the verse first. It's A minor, so 6 minor, 2 minor, D minor, G major, 5, and 1 major 7, C major 7. Now, this is a shortened drop of 5th sequence. The drop of 5th sequence is a sequence of chords that are all a 5th apart from each other. I'm going to show you the complete drop of 5th sequence in C major and then tell you which part Miley Cyrus uses in that song. The drop of 5th sequence is A minor, 6 minor, 2 D minor, 2 G, 2 C major, 2 F major, playing at a F major 7 here, 2, and this is the only not perfect 5th going down, 2 B minor 7 flat 5, E, that is not actually in A Aeolian, but is something taken from a harmonic minor, and back to A. The great thing about it is that you can play it forever and ever because it doesn't stop. It goes on and it starts over and over again, and everything is dominating towards each other. Everything is a 5 of the next thing. It's something that a lot of pop music has already used. A lot of people say that Flowers, Miley Cyrus's Flowers, sounds a lot like I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor, which is because Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive uses the drop 5th sequence as well, but uses the complete bit, okay? Let me just quickly play you this here. First I was afraid, I was petrified, when I spent so many nights thinking how to get it down, back to A minor. Miley Cyrus uses the first half of this drop of 5th sequence. So that means 6 minor, 2 minor, 5, and 1. And back to 6 minor. We have got 2 verses or 2 parts of the verse, number 1. 2 chord progressions, if you will, before the T-bridge. Now, in terms of melody, we have got a pick-up melody, so a melody that starts before the 1 with this. I'm going to show you the melody together with the chords. So the melody is C, B, A. This is the first motif, if you will. We were good over A minor. Then we've got We Were Gold, where suddenly the A is not the 1 of the chord anymore, but the 5 of the chord. Same melody motif though, just another chord. Kind of dream that can be so. We've got a lot of leaps. We've got no gentle moves from one line or from one note to the other, as we had here. Just steps, right? Half step, whole step. And then we've got. So it's almost all our kind of third leaps. And in terms of connection with the chord, we have got only chord notes in the melody, basically, okay? Apart from the fancy notes, so I'm talking rock solid notes here. It's this is the B, the 3 of the G chord, 3 of the C chord in the melody. The same thing we have got for the second chord progression. We have got the exact same melody without any variation. I don't know what to make of it, because we could try something. Let's try something. Okay, I understand why they didn't go for the A, because it's not a chord tone, okay? And you can't resolve this to the A minor because the first chord of the transitional bridge is an A minor as well. We could do too happy and shiny. Why not do the major 7 on C? Okay, why not do kind of dream that can be so. For the second bit, I mean. So it's we were good, we were gold, kind of dream that can be sold. We were right till we weren't, built a home and watched it burn. We're not used to this because we have listened to the song so many times already. But what I'm hinting at here is that it's always a good idea to look for variation in your verse B to make the transition to the transitional bridge a bit smoother, okay? If we've got this is a very down ending of the form, right? Of the phrase. And why not throw in some alteration in verse B? We are going to look at the lyrics at the end of the analysis. Transitional bridge. Not a lot of changes in terms of chord, but tiny twists that make it a very good transitional bridge. It's A minor, D minor, we know that already, but now E major 7 for 2 bars this time. So it's I didn't wanna leave you, I didn't wanna lie, started to cry but then remembered A minor, D minor, we know from the drop of 5th sequence, and then the E major 7 as a secondary dominant to the A minor is something that builds a shitload of tension before the chorus, and it's for 2 bars, and it is, I think it's in the arrangement with the 7 actually played, something that you don't do in pop music very often, but that adds a lot of tension to exactly this chord in the transitional bridge. Together with the melody this time is not really a pickup, but it's an anticipated one. So it's on the 4 and. I didn't wanna leave you, I didn't wanna die. In terms of melody, it's. So Miley sings the 7 on the E major. That makes it, of course, very, very tense, and we do want to go to the chorus very, very much. The important or interesting thing in the melody is that it rides on the D. So if we talk about the song being in C major, the D would be the 2nd degree note, or the 9, if you will. And we had this observation in Biffy Clyro's Black Chandelier as well, that the 2nd chord of the scale sometimes gets more attention in the melody than the 1st note of the scale. It opens up, or it confuses, it blurs the line of the chord a little bit. We have got I didn't wanna leave you, I didn't wanna do. Of course, in D minor, the D is the regular 1, right? But in A minor, it's the 4. B, A, E, A, E, A, E, C, D. 7 in the melody, how cool is that? And the chorus. And the chorus starts on the 2. And not just the melody, but the complete instrumental arrangement. Okay? So we have got drums starting on 2, bass starting on 2, everything else starting on 2, and melody starting on 2 as well. In terms of chords, again, not a great variation from the drop of 5th sequence, but with a couple of things that make it interesting. A minor, D minor, G, C, repeats, actually repeats 4 times. Sorry, 3 times. And then after the 3rd repetition, or after the 3rd chord progression like this, we have got F, introducing new chord, completely new chord, to E major. This is something taken from the Spanish cadence, for example, from A minor, G, F, E, so 6 minor, 5 major, 4 major, 3 major, secondary dominant, to A minor. And it makes it Spanishy in a way, right? It makes it flamenco-ish. Yeah, I can love me better than you can. And resolution on the A minor, that is the 1st chord of the interlude as well. Melody of the chorus. A very improvised melody, a very loose melody that doesn't stick to a lot of formal rules. It's very hard to analyze that melody because it goes up, it goes down. Nothing is the same. The different forms are variations of each other, but you can't really see an identifiable motif being developed. It's just a very improvised, bluesy, gut-feeling line. With, of course, many arpeggiated versions of the chords within the melody. So we have got the layout of the chord in the melody already, which is something that you can do quite nicely, especially in the drop of 5th sequence, because the opportunities to get from one chord to the other within the melody are just amazing. We are now going to the post-chorus. Could be called an interlude, but because it has got vocals, I'd like to call it post-chorus. Again, same chords, drop of 5th sequence, half of it, 6 minor, 2 minor, 5 and 1. Melody though is different. Can love me better, I can love me better, baby. Can love me better, I can love me better, baby. Melody started on the 2 in the chorus, on an anticipated 1 in the transitional bridge, with the pickup in the verse and on the one end in the post-chorus. So it's "You can love me better, I can love me better, baby. Can love me better, I can love me better, baby." Melody. It's something that we recognize from a lot of songs. For example, "I Will Survive," that use the drop of fifth sequence. I was totally confused because I was hearing Robbie Williams that of course has this as well as a solo in that song here, because I can't remember it right now. And it gets used so often that it was kind of tricky for me to kind of just remember that it's actually the "I Will Survive" line. Then we have got verse number 2 that in terms of chords, in terms of melody, doesn't offer any type of variation compared to verse number 1. Then we have transitional bridge number 2 that in terms of chorus and melody doesn't offer any variation compared to transitional bridge number 1. Then we've got chorus number 2, post-chorus that is longer this time, double post-chorus, and then a transitional bridge that kind of becomes the primary bridge, that kind of becomes the C section of the song, because it's arranged differently and suddenly everything breaks down. I don't wanna leave, babe, I don't wanna fight. Started to cry, but then remembered I... And in my cover, I held that chord here forever. I introduced an additional bar, which I think Miley is going to do live as well, because everybody wants to go to this "I can by myself," but just leaving the thing hanging there creates incredible tension. I think this is something that she's going to do live. Wait, forever and ever. I'm better out. Last chorus is basically the same as the 2 choruses before, but the F major to E major just gets repeated. Before we go to the last post-chorus, that is the outro as well. She does that. Yeah, I can love me better than. Yeah, I can love me better than to build up to. You can! The high A, that of course is too high here, is the highest note in the song, making it the last official note. She kind of does some ad-libs over the post-chorus then, starting with this high A, and this is why they used the double F to E major to build up even more to that highest note in the song. In terms of music, we have looked at everything important. Let's look at the lyrics. Lyric-wise, we have got, I'd say, 2 tiny lines and a big line in the verse. We were good, tiny line. We were gold, tiny line. Kind of dream that can't be sold. Apparently the song is about Miley and her ex-husband. I don't know anything about them. We were good, we were gold are the 2 first phrases of the, or lines of the song. Kind of dream that can be sold. I would say that we have a tiny line that doesn't have to rhyme with anything. This is the first line. And the second tiny line that rhymes with the big line. We were good, we were gold, kind of dream that can't be sold. We have got a very cool alliteration between good and gold in the first tiny lines. We were good, we were gold, okay? So almost the same line, even with the same starting letter for the last word, but good becomes gold, kind of dream that can't be sold. Is it a cliche rhyme with gold and sold? I don't really know. We were right till we weren't. Built a home and watched it burn. Apparently their house in Malibu? I don't know. Apparently the house burned down. And now it makes for a great song. What a life. We were right till we weren't. Built a home and watched it burn. I like the rhyme between weren't and burn. Of course, we were right till we weren't doesn't do the alliteration thing of verse A, which is okay, which you don't have to do all the time. But we see that the words are wisely chosen to fit the metric rhythm that is very strict. The metric rhythm and the verse you can't really mingle with, right? Ba-da-bum, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum. This is without any allowance for variation, the metric rhythm of the verse, and the job is of course to find words that make sense for the song and that also fit the metric rhythm. Transitional bridge with tiny twists between the first one and the second one. I didn't wanna leave you, I didn't wanna lie, started to cry but then remembered like this, I mean. I think those are 4 lines. I didn't wanna leave you, I didn't wanna lie, started to cry. No, actually it's a long one. Started to cry but then remembered I. Usually you're not supposed to end your lines with personal pronouns that go nowhere, but then remembered I. But if we remember the chord behind it, the E major dominant chord to A minor, with this I build expectations in the lyrics as well, talking about prosody and stuff. I didn't want to leave you, I didn't want to lie. So again, we have got a lot of alliterations. So words starting with the same sound as opposed to ending with the same sound, which would make them rhyme words. Started to cry, but then remembered I. I'd say this is a long line with an internal rhyme between cry and I. In transitional bridge number 2, the changes are tiny, but they have a lot of effect. Because we are used to I didn't want to leave you, I didn't want to lie, started to cry but then remembered I. And she does, I didn't want to leave, babe, loosening, no, actually not loosening metric rhythm, but just saying a cool word. I didn't want to leave, babe. I didn't want to fight, thereby destroying the alliteration between leave and lie. Maybe also in terms of prosody, destroying the harmony between the two in the relationship. Because now we haven't got alliteration harmony, we have got I didn't want to leave, babe, I didn't want to fight. Plus this whole leave fight thing takes us directly into the psychology of responding to a very stressful situation where the human being has basically the 2 responses, fight, flight, well, maybe freeze, which if we think about it, crying and reacting in a very shocked way are closely related. So this is basically the 3 psychological responses to stress, right? Fight, flight, or freeze. I didn't want to leave, flight. I didn't want to fight, fight. Started to cry, freeze. But then remembered I, and then into the chorus. The chorus is very empowering, of course. The chorus is a direct reference and response to Bruno Mars's When I Was Your Man, that was released approximately, or no, actually exactly 10 years before, in 2013. I'm going to do a Let's Talk song about it. And has a lot of words in the chorus that go in the same direction. I hope he buys you flowers and holds your hand. Should've give you all my hours when I had the chance. Take you to every party 'cause all you wanted to do was dance. Man. Miley says, I don't need the man to buy me flowers. I can buy myself flowers. I can write my name in the sand, something that people in love do. Talk to myself for hours, say things you don't understand. I can take myself dancing, and I can hold my own hand. Yeah, I can love me better than you can. And the word man doesn't even come up, right? Than you can. Let's look at rhyming pattern. I can buy myself flowers, write my name in the sand, talk to myself for hours, say things you don't understand. A, B, A, B. I can take myself dancing. I can hold my own hand, something that we know from the beginning of the chorus. Yeah, I can love me better than you can. I can take myself dancing is an X line. It doesn't rhyme with anything else in the chorus. And it's just a direct reference to the Bruno Mars song, I think. It's not very annoying. It's not a line that doesn't fit. It's just, it doesn't rhyme. And then we've got a B rhyme once again. I can hold my own hand. Yeah, I can love me better than you can, I would argue is a B rhyme as well. So we have got A, B, A, B, X, B, B. Quite interesting. In terms of rhyming pattern, verse 2 does the same thing as verse 1, but with other words, of course. So it's paint my nails, cherry red. You could argue here those two tiny lines merge into one big one because you can't understand the one without the other. Match the roses that you left, red and red. I know colors now. Got glasses for this. No remorse, no regret. I forgive everything you said. Regret, or regrets, I don't really know. And said is a very loose, almost but not quite rhyme. It's okay because you don't really realize the difference. No remorse, no regrets. So we've got this alliteration thing once again. I forgive every word you said. Is it I forgive? Yes, I forgive every word you said. I forgot every word you said would be kind of cool as well. Transitional bridge 2 we've already talked about. Chorus number 2 we've already talked about. And the post-chorus thing is just this can love me better from the chorus in a cool choir-like. Can love me better, I can love me better, baby. I think this is it. I hope you enjoyed my analysis of Miley Cyrus's Flowers. If you did, please subscribe to the channel, please like the videos, please comment, please go back and watch the cover, please go back and watch the analysis of Biffy Clyro's Black Chandelier, the first analysis video on the Let's Talk Song channel. My name is Rafael Cano, and I'm super hyped to be able to do this. I think we've talked song. You can talk about inflation now. Yeah, I can love me better than you can.